It's 2014, and I'm here again with the always impressive George Watt from CA Technologies. How you doing, George?
Always impressive.
Always impressive. That's great. I'm Andy Mann, also from CA Technologies. We've got a bit of a spin on today's session, but let's get into some new and cool first. George, kick it off for us. What you got?
Well, Andy, my first new and cool item involves solar panels, Tesla motors, Burning Man Festival, and a fragrance named Elon Musk. Are you curious?
Yes.
Okay, so based on an idea from frontierpreneur Elon Musk, who's also Solar City's chairman, one that he had while traveling with his cousins, incidentally, one of whom is Solar City's CEO, to the Burning Man, Tesla has teamed up with Solar City to repurpose batteries that are used in their Model S as storage devices for home-generated solar power. Now, this is exciting because power storage has been a challenge for home solar installations, and now that storage might be practical, homeowners can not only store electricity in case of an emergency, which is sort of an obvious use, but they can also store it for use during periods when electricity is at peak rate. If you have time of use rates like we have here. Now, I live in one of North America's most expensive power jurisdictions, so that certainly caught my eye. But in fact, this is not the only example of auto technology now being used to power homes. During a recent ice storm here in Ontario, someone actually used their plug-in model Prius to power up critical systems in their home. So it's essentially in a role reversal, they plugged their home into their car. So I really like seeing this kind of convergence and reuse. So I'll be keeping my eye on this one.
Yeah, that's really brilliant. Hey, Joe, I've got something. We've talked about wearables before. So I saw this thing in Business Week. It's a hearing device using mobile tech and Bluetooth. It's really interesting. It's a mini computer. It uses advanced audio algorithms. It's got a wireless radio built in. There's a smartphone app you can use to adjust frequencies. You can emphasize short-range conversation, de-emphasize background noise, that sort of thing. It's really interesting. It comes from an entrepreneur who is coming from the Bluetooth headset space rather than coming from the medical device space. So its goal was to be attractive from a cosmetic point. So it's not hidden, it looks good instead. And it's interesting to me that this is much more like wearable computing than it is a traditional hearing aid. There's personalization thrown in, like I said, the app. Yeah, and this is maybe not surprising considering the background of this particular entrepreneur as a Bluetooth headset maker. And I have to say, George, these are the sort of wearables that I'm excited about.
Yeah, I suppose. We're getting there, right? So, Andy, there are a ton of exciting things also happening in the world of 3D printing.
Oh, yes.
It's no longer solely useful for printing action figures of your cycling heroes. And so what's really exciting is that people have been finding a plethora of use cases for it in the medical field. We've read stories just recently about 3D printed patches for skulls. At Wake Forest University, a researcher named James Hughes created a machine that can 3D print skin directly onto burn victims. And at the University of Liverpool, they've created technology that uses 3D scanners to replicate the recipient's skin tones. That's something that's given the researchers fits in the past. So they've printed bones, noses, ears, blood vessels, even prosthetic eyes, which apparently had to be historically hand painted, which is very tedious and expensive and not easy to do. So this is all very exciting use of 3D printing in a field that you and I have been talking about and sort of hoping for quite a while. But there's another advantage of 3D printing we've also spoken about, and that's how it could provide people in remote areas with the ability to access things like this that would, under normal circumstances, take a very long time to deliver to them. So essentially, in remote locations, people have very few options as they relate to things that they may have a critical need for, but which may be required only on a rare occasion. Certain medical emergency needs, for instance, might fall into this category. Yep. Perhaps certain replacement parts or tools. And what are their choices? They can stock everything they possibly need, which is probably not practical, or they can take a risk they won't need them, which might result in a severe delay, which could cause further problems should they need them. And the crew of the International Space Station is actually running tests to see whether they could address this by producing the tools that they require for repairs via 3D printing. So this is, combine these and it gets even more exciting, right? This is all very exciting. It makes me wonder how long until we see mainstream use of 3D printing to address this problem more broadly. And I think it's actually closer than we might think, and that's a very good thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, this sort of stuff is awesome. We're getting closer and closer to actually printing real organs too, hearts and livers and kidneys and stuff. But I tell you what, George, at CES, a company called 3D Systems was printing 3D candy. And not, and that's not all. They've also announced they're doing a deal with Hershey's to do 3D chocolate. I am so into 3D printing now, George.
Yeah, well, that's just more that you can give your nieces for breakfast, right?
There you go, exactly. You know me. Hey, George, let's move on. We're not going to do any news this week. What I thought we might do is have a look at what's out and what's in 2014. And I'm going to start. There was a great article by SEER Technologies' Pete Waterhouse recently in Information Week. What's out? Introverted IT. And what's in? IT sharing more. This is absolutely critical. It's the end of the IT as a gatekeeper and the beginning of IT as an orchestrator. It's related to cloud and the openness and the accessibility of IT. It's related to consumerization and consumer-driven IT. But all of this is just the start. IT as a service broker, IT as a collaborator. We wrote about in the Innovative CIO, IT as an advisor and an enabler. Collaborating with customers, with business partners, it's all about collaboration opening. Embracing your inner rogue, George. I know you know about that.
That's right.
And it's reflecting the openness and of API economy as well. I think this open IT is going to be a great thing for everyone.
Yeah, I agree. And in fact, I have another gatekeeper that's out, right? Security as an innovation killer that sucks the fun out of life.
Yeah.
What's in? Security as an enabler. Again, similar theme, right? Applied correctly and creatively, security can enable teams to take advantage of mobile and cloud, be fully buzzword compliant, if you will, all today's buzzword compliant technologies. But the bottom line is what the objective is, and that's to help the business deliver compelling, engaging experiences that customers are demanding now. It's not just a leading edge thing, it's becoming a sort of table stakes. So teams that adopt a how can we make this possible approach to security, they're going to lead.
Yep, absolutely. I love that. Hey, just quickly, we've spoken about this a lot, so I won't dwell on it. What's out? These general purpose wearables. Segway for your face, no thank you. What's in? Use specific wearables, like that hearing aid that I spoke about at the top of the show.
Yep. So what's out, Andy? Mobile. Mobile is out, especially mobile first. That's done. We're done. Yeah. What's in? Experience first. So mobility, I think, has become a means to an end now. It's no longer the end. It's no longer the trend, if you will. And people now demand, compelling, engaging, context-aware experiences that catch them in the moment, that deliver services when they most need or want them. And they want an emotional connection to the companies they do business with. And mobility is definitely one tool that can be used to deliver that. And for sure, mobility is going to continue to grow, and people are still catching up in certain areas, and it'll be a critical delivery channel. But it's not only about mobility any longer. It's really about the experience.
Absolutely. And the multi-channel experience.
Absolutely.
Again, just a quick one. What's out? Big data. What's in? Analytics, right? I've heard this a couple of times, including just this week at the CIO Summit. It's not about the size of the data, it's about what you do with it. And I think that's going to be an interesting change in 2014.
Okay. So what's out? Cloud. Cloud gone, long forgotten.
Oh, what? From you? What?
Yeah, I know. A2 Brute, right? So what could possibly replace cloud, you might ask?
I ask.
Cloud. What's in is cloud. So
okay.
So cloud is still a key enabling technology, especially in key growth areas like mobile, multi-channel app development, and big data or analytics, if you will. And make no mistake, many are still very early in their adoption of cloud services outside that context. So adoption's going to continue to rise, of course, but because cloud computing has suffered the ridicule of the unicorn and the rainbow for a very, very long time, it's now much better understood. And it's definitely proven its worth. So even though its role is more critical than ever, even though it will deliver more value than ever, we'll probably hear a lot less about it. It's no longer the new shiny thing.
Yeah, look, I think I agree with that. We saw that sort of with virtualization, right? We don't talk about server virtualization as anything special anymore. It's just what we do. Maybe cloud goes the same way. Yeah. I'm going to wrap this with an interesting one that I think, what's out? Chat shows. What's in? AMAs. I don't know if you've seen, George, the Ask Me Anything subreddit on reddit.com.
Absolutely.
This this is really interesting, right? I mean, people like Leno and Letterman, it seems they're going to be around forever, but I'm not really sure. I think they're irrelevant to key demographics, and increasingly smart celebs and politicians are going on Reddit to get directly to their audience. So we've seen AMAs from people like Jerry Seinfeld, from the Governor. Even President Obama did an AMA on Reddit. I think this is about disintermediation, George. We've seen disintermediation. Blogs and online journals have done it to print. Public clouds done it to internal IT. The internet is enabling disintermediation, and I think it's going to disintermediate the TV chat shows. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Condé Nast, who I think is the owner of Reddit, actually spins out the Ask Me Anything subreddit as a separate website with more features just for this purpose, like real-time chat, video, two-way, maybe even an online host. And then we're back into non-disintermediation. But we'll see how that goes.
Well, hey, you know how I feel about this disintermediation. I disintermediated myself and wrote about it. So,
Yes.
But I think as well, that's part of that whole experience trend that we're seeing, right? It's about enhancing experience and driving a deeper emotional connection with the people that you interact with. So I'm all in.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, George, that's all we're going to do on Out and In. Everyone, let us know what you think. Are we right? Are we wrong? What have we missed? In the meantime, we're going to get into the quick fire roll. So, George, why don't you ask me a question first, and then I'll start the timer.
Okay. So, Andy, let's start with this. There's been a lot of buzz about cloud in schools lately. Easy for me to say. We're seeing increased adoption in the U.S., Azerbaijan, Japan, everywhere. Is this a good thing or a great thing?
Oh, look, George, this is a great thing. And it reminds me of back in the day when we used to do TV hookups from class to class, or even to scientific organizations like NASA. George, a great friend of the show, Mark Teeley, wrote last week about public versus private cloud. Which is better?
Well, yeah, I really like his point that one size does not fit all, and you should match your solution to business requirements. It's kind of a mantra of mine. So Mark's a great guy, a ton of experience, definitely worth following on Twitter. Yeah. Andy, David Linthicum says you should blame a bad cloud deployment on the CIO, not the cloud provider. Who do you blame?
Look, I absolutely get what he has to say, but honestly, in all situations, both are to blame. And I'll remind you that rogue cloud means that often the CIO never even made the cloud decision in the first place. George, David, again, in InfoWorld, gave us 3 surefire ways to screw up a cloud deployment. How do you screw up a cloud deployment? And that's the buzzer.
Well, hey, I know many more than 3, and I was surprised there were only 3, but it's a great place to start. Select the right apps, select the right providers for the apps, and know what's going on. And I'd add to number 2, have an exit strategy. Hey, look, I'm going to slip one in after the buzzer here for you, because I'd love to hear what you think of this. Gartner actually thinks a quarter of the cloud suppliers are going to be gone by 2015. Is that due to Heisenberg's introduction of blue clouds?
Look, honestly, I think Gartner must be smoking some of that crack. Look, this is not a declining market yet. I don't think this is a consolidating market yet. It's a maturing market, and we've got some ways to go. George, that's all we've got today. It's been great fun. For CA Technologies, my colleague George Watt, I'm Andy Mann. We'll see you again next time on TechViews Unplugged. Bye-bye.
Take care.